the world, welcome into the Association Weekend Edition. We are getting you ready for today's NBA TV broadcast featuring the Detroit Pistons and the Philadelphia 76ers. We don't have any time to waste. The lights are on, the stars are out, the players are getting warmed up. We're just getting started, so let's get into it. Welcome to the Association Weekend Edition. Roll it. What's up, everybody? I am Jason Zone Fisher, and I'm excited to be here tonight for some great NBA basketball action, joined by my colleagues, two of the brightest minds in the game of basketball, Sean Little and Katie Heidel. Sean, Katie, good to see you both. You're looking dapper, Sean. Katie, you're always looking good. Sean, really, he dressed up for this occasion. It's Easter weekend, Saturday, baby. How you feeling?
Great, phenomenal. Thank you for the call out. Always happy to be with you, JZF, and my girl, Katie Heindel. Let's talk some hoops.
Let's get into it, Sean and Katie. We got a good game tonight. Hopefully it's as good as the one that we just saw between the Denver Nuggets and the San Antonio Spurs. The Nuggets rolling right now, 8 straight wins and overtime victory against another team who's been red hot, the San Antonio Spurs. A big battle out west. But tonight we're focused on the Eastern Conference matchup between the Detroit Pistons and the Philadelphia 76ers. The Pistons, they started this season with that crazy win streak, the first number 1 seed in the East, and they still are. And tonight they can officially clinch the 1 seed in the East with a win on the road against the Philadelphia 76ers, a team who's played with a lot of different lineups so far this season, but they got Paul George back. He's been playing well, and they're locked in somewhere between the 5 and 8 seed in the East. Right now, they're currently slated in the 6 seed, but this is an important game for them as well. So I want to get both of your thoughts as we preview this matchup here tonight. Sean, let's start with you. What are you most looking forward to in this matchup between the Pistons and Sixers?
Yes, it's all about Philly for me. I think we're starting to get to a spot where they're gearing up to potentially make some noise in the playoffs. And you mentioned PG coming back. Prior to the suspension, he scored 28 plus points twice. Since he's been back, he's done that twice already in a very short span, even with a big 30 plus point game. So I think that for me, this is about Philly getting ready to get into the playoffs. And you'll hear a lot of people say the very corny, this is not a team you want to play in the first round. But I think there is some truth to it with the experienced guys like PG and Maxey playing at a first-team All-NBA level.
Absolutely. And no Joel Embiid tonight for Philadelphia, but they do expect him to be ready for the postseason, and that will cause a lot of matchup issues. And if we can see a version of Joel Embiid that we've seen in the past and for moments throughout this season too, can cause a lot of problems in the playoffs. Katie, this is obviously an important matchup for both these teams. Detroit can clinch the 1 seed, and Philly, they want to avoid the play-in tournament. They want to be at least in that 5-6 speed and clinch a playoff berth. What do you have your eye on in this matchup?
I'm looking at Detroit, and I'm looking at their resiliency, especially the resiliency we've seen since Cade Cunningham, has been out with that unfortunate injury, and just obviously the team taking their time in ramping him up and getting him to come back. They'd obviously want him to come back for the playoffs, but I think it just speaks to the growth of this team. We've talked a lot about their sophistication, their adaptation all throughout the season, the way that they have to win. I think now we're seeing these extra gears. Unfortunately, they're revealed to us in ways we would never want them to be, but that is the case for this team. So I'm looking at their depth, the way that they're sticking together, and I do think there's something to cinching that what number 1 spot, right? That they've worked so hard to get all season. So if they could get that tonight, bittersweet, but I think a big win for them.
Yeah, Cade Cunningham, he's been the leader of the Pistons all season, but they've been without him since mid-March with the collapsed lung injury that he suffered. But next man up mentality, and Detroit showing off what a deep team they are. They're 7-2 so far without Cade. We're going to get into more about this matchup tonight that you'll see on NBA TV on the other side of this break between the Pistons and the Sixers. So don't go anywhere. Stay locked in with us right here on NBA TV. 76ers. Sean, Katie, on the other side of that break, we talked about Detroit and the success they've had without Cade Cunningham since they went down. A lot of people expected maybe they would start to slide without their leader, but 7-2 so far without them. Katie, what does that say about the depth of this Pistons team, and how's that going to prepare them for hopefully a deep postseason run?
It says quite a lot. And again, I think it's in this way that, of course, they would wish they didn't have to figure out, like to their depth, but it is a bit of a depth test. And for a team that really hasn't found a test through a lot of opponents, I would say this season, they pulled out ahead early, they stayed there, they showed their confidence, their adaptation. I think that it's sort of a test. Again, you don't want it, but it is a test for them that I think speaks to the strength that they have, and also just how deep this rotation is and how much everybody on it has been willing to step up. I think about guys like Duncan Robinson, I think of Asar Thompson, I think even of like a Tobias Harris. Like, this is a very deep and competent team, and now they're playing for something greater than themselves.
They are definitely a deep team. Sean, in the postseason, we typically see the rosters, kind of the rotations shrink a little bit, and where in a regular season you might see 10, 11 guys take the court. In the postseason, there might be 7, 8, maybe 9 guys who play. What are you looking for tonight as we're inching closer towards the postseason from this Pistons team?
Yeah, Katie laid it out very well. It's about they're deep, but they're deep with a bunch of grinders that just want to get gritty and just try to make things happen however way they can. I think a lot of it comes down to, for me, is Dennis Jenkins. This is very valuable time for him on the ball with Cade not being available. I think he stepped up and shown that offensively he can be a force. The usage is pushing 22, 23% for him over these last 4 or 5 games. And I think that's very imperative because they're going to need him, as you mentioned, in the playoffs, JZF. You can only go so deep on the bench. There's only so many minutes. You're going to get the cream of the crop. So for Jenkins to get this load with Cade out on the ball, I think is major for him and will help come playoff time.
Yeah, Dennis Jenkins has really stepped up with Cade Cunningham going down, looking like he's ready to run his own team as he's had the Pistons continuing to click and excel with Cade on the bench, as we see there. But we would be remiss if we didn't mention Jalen Duren, a first-time All-Star this season who has stepped his game up, taken it to another level. Katie, what's impressed you the most about Jalen Duren this season and what he's been able to do even over these last couple of weeks without the number one distributor, Cade Cunningham, on the floor?
I think we've seen really great flashes of his leadership, right? We know him to be a really quiet, competent player. He makes the right read. He knows where to be. But I think this is a bit of a leadership, flash for him. And I think he's really stepped up and he's done really well with it. His pacing hasn't changed. His tendencies haven't changed. Again, like, the thing I am so impressed with the Pistons is just the sense of they just take it one game at a time. Yeah, they're down Cade, but they know what they're there to do. They know the beats of the team, the rhythm of the team, and Duren is a huge part of that.
Well, Jalen Duren, he's out there warming up right now. He was originally listed questionable, but he will be active for tonight's game. That's good news for Pistons fans out there. And one of the reasons that this Pistons team started the season red hot and that they have not missed a beat, depending on who's in and out of the lineup, is because of their head coach, JB Bickerstaff, in my opinion, the front runner for Coach of the Year this season.